3 weeks. That's how long the gates stayed locked. No announcement, no sirens, just a handwritten sign taped to glass. Forklifts frozen mid-aisle. Hard hats still hanging on hooks, a parking lot in Central California that used to fill before sunrise. And somewhere in Sacramento, the governor said nothing. This is California, the fifth largest economy on earth. And today, something is quietly breaking. Before we go any further, pause here for a moment. If you care about workers, if you care about communities that don't make headlines, if you care about where California is headed next, subscribe to this channel, share this story, and leave a comment about what you think California's direction should be, because silence is how this keeps happening. The town doesn't look like a place that makes national news. One main road, a diner with cracked vinyl booths, a high school football field with bleachers older than the students sitting on them. For decades, the facility at the edge of town was the reason people stayed. It paid well. It offered health care. It meant you could raise a family without leaving. Parents worked there, then their kids did. Some families counted 3 generations under the same roof and the same company badge. Every morning followed the same rhythm. Coffee poured before dawn, lunch pails packed, cars rolling in steady lines toward the plant. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. The facility sponsored little league teams, donated to the volunteer fire department, kept the grocery store open, and the pharmacy staffed. When people talked about the future, they talked in decades, not months. Then one Monday, the badge scanners didn't work. Phones went unanswered, supervisors didn't show, security guards shrugged. By noon, rumors had already outpaced facts. By nightfall, families were sitting at kitchen tables, refreshing inboxes that stayed empty. There was no town hall. No warning, no transition period, just a letter, cold, short. The company would be ceasing operations at this location. Employees were thanked for their service. That was it. Inside the building, unfinished orders sat untouched. Machines that cost millions were powered down in silence. People who had never missed a shift were suddenly unemployed. The official explanation arrived days later, carefully worded, reviewed by lawyers. The company cited consolidation, operational efficiency, the need to streamline in a competitive global environment. They spoke of shifting resources, of aligning with long-term strategic goals, of remaining committed to innovation. Nothing in the statement mentioned the town or the people. And at first, many believed it. They wanted to believe it because corporations restructure all the time. Markets change, costs fluctuate. But then another facility closed, then another. Different company, same state, same language, a logistics hub in Southern California, a manufacturing plant in the Bay Area, a processing center in the Central Valley. Each time the same pattern, short notice, polished explanations, communities left scrambling. Zoom out far enough and the dots begin to connect. According to industry reports, California has lost tens of thousands of private sector jobs to out-of-state relocations in recent years. States like Texas, Arizona, Nevada, and Tennessee appear again and again in corporate filings. These aren't just tech firms chasing lower rents. They're manufacturers, distributors, energy-intensive operations. Institutions that study labor migration point to a complex mix of reasons. Housing costs, tax structures, regulatory frameworks. No single factor explains everything. That's important to say. Some companies leave for market access, some automate, some fail entirely. But when the same explanation repeats itself across industries, it stops sounding isolated. Executives, speaking off the record, describe a climate of uncertainty, rules that shift faster than business cycles, compliance costs that compound year after year. Labor advocates argue those protections exist for a reason. Worker safety, environmental stewardship, fair wages. They're not wrong. This is not a simple story. California built its identity on progress, on leading first, on setting standards others follow, but leadership comes with trade-offs. Energy prices in California remain among the highest in the nation. Industrial electricity costs can be double those of neighboring states. Environmental compliance adds layers of approval timelines that stretch projects by years. Labor costs reflect some of the strongest worker protections in the country. For some companies, that's the price of doing business in California. For others, it becomes the breaking point. And hovering over all of this is the governor, a figure known nationally, a voice in presidential conversations, a symbol of California's ambitions. Yet, as facility after facility closes, the response has been measured, carefully worded, often delayed. Statements emphasize innovation, resilience, the strength of California's economy overall. And statistically, that's true. In aggregate, California remains enormous, powerful. But numbers don't capture the sound of a locked gate. They don't show a father explaining to his daughter why her college fund just became rent money. They don't record the moment health insurance disappears. Back in the town, the consequences ripple outward. The diner shortens its hours. The grocery store raises prices. The school district quietly revises enrollment projections downward. A wedding gets postponed. A mortgage payment missed. A family debates leaving a place they thought they'd never abandon. These are not abstract costs. One former supervisor describes waking up every morning at the same time out of habit with nowhere to go. Another worker drives an hour each way for temporary work that pays less and offers no benefits. A third is selling equipment bought on the assumption of steady overtime. This is where policy becomes personal, because when companies leave, they don't just take jobs, they take gravity. They pull entire ecosystems with them. Supporters of the governor argue the state cannot race to the bottom, that protecting workers and the environment matters more than appeasing corporations. Critics argue that the balance has tipped too far, that rigidity is costing livelihoods. The debate is real and unresolved. What stands out is the silence between closures, no emergency task force, no targeted relief for affected towns, no public reckoning with the pattern itself. The governor appears on national stages, speaks about the future, about leadership. Meanwhile, towns like this one fade quietly. To be fair, California still attracts talent, still incubates ideas, still leads in technology and culture, but an economy cannot live on startups alone. Someone still has to make things, move things, build things. When that base erodes, the effects take time to surface until one day they can't be ignored. Standing outside the closed facility, weeds push through cracks in the asphalt. The sign on the door has faded. No one knows what comes next. Another company might move in, or the building might sit empty for years. The workers wait, the town waits, and California stands at a crossroads. Is it a place that can protect workers and keep employers? Can it lead without losing its foundation? Can it acknowledge hard truths without abandoning its values? Those questions don't have easy answers, but they demand attention. If you believe these stories matter, subscribe to this channel, share this investigation, leave a comment about what California's future should look like. Because what happens next won't just define policy,